AVAIYA has changed my life.
AVAIYA has made me the woman I am today.
AVAIYA is my home.
AVAIYA is personal freedom.
AVAIYA is the reason my life continuously improves.
Let everyone in your life know about AVAIYA.
Everyone needs to know about this amazing company.
Thank you, AVAIYA, for appearing in my inbox.
What Ike Allen and Andy Anderson have created at AVAIYA is what the world needs.
Hello, AVAIYA family. I'm Andy Anderson. My partner, Ike Allen, and I are teachers, mentors, and the co-owners of AVAIYA University. AVAIYA is the creator of over 1,000 books, films, courses, teachings, and other supportive materials. Thank you so much for joining us. Our fellow teacher, Lisa Romano, is back with us today to talk about why narcissists gaslight. Lisa is a certified life coach, meditation teacher, best-selling author, and YouTube vlogger, specializing in topics like codependency and narcissistic abuse recovery. She creates real-life tools to help people evolve past their traumas so they can live in peace, achieve success, and create harmony in their lives, regardless of painful past events. Lisa's work helps awaken people to the idea that what is wrong is not them, but it is only their programming. Welcome back to AVAIYA, Lisa.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thanks for saying yes. It's good to see you again. And I love today's topic. Let's dive into gaslighting. So why is it that a narcissist will gaslight others?
So I think it's important. I would just like to say that we have to understand, we have to have a little bit of an understanding of what a narcissist is. And someone who argues with us isn't a narcissist. Somebody who, doesn't want to be in a relationship with us doesn't mean that they're a narcissist. Someone who is a little bit irritating to be around doesn't necessarily mean that they're a narcissist. So when we're talking about a narcissist, this is someone who has a pervasive pattern, someone who lacks empathy pretty much across the board, just doesn't have a bad day. So there's a pattern of a lack of empathy in their relationships. It's always someone else's fault. There's this, they devalue people. They feel entitled to treat people the way they want to treat them. So they exploit them emotionally. And you don't just, it's like I think it's really important that we just don't pigeonhole everyone, and we recognize that we're looking for a pattern. If we stand out of it, we'll see this across the board. Mm-hmm. So we're understanding what a narcissist wants to do. They want to gain your attention. They need to be the focus of your world. And so you're either going to give them that focus, and if you don't, they will put you down, they will devalue you, they will discard you so that they feel better. So it's always about one-upping you. It's about power and control and dominance. And that's what gaslighting is about. So you go to a business partner, you go to your best friend, you go to a spouse that you think has high narcissistic traits. And you say, I'd like to talk to you about this. You're so negative. You're so over emotional. You're so sensitive. That's why you want to talk about this. You're just so sensitive. No one thinks like you. This is all you. Now, what happens if you are someone who is literally wanting to come to this person and resolve an issue, you're going to self-reflect. You're going to think, am I being negative? Am I being over emotional? And so it makes it difficult for you to hold on to your position. So it makes you doubt your reality, which is exactly what they want to do. And if this is chronic, if gaslighting is chronic over time, you don't trust your instincts anymore. Mm-hmm. So rather than feel like, I want to go talk about that, why did he slap my son across the face in front of a bunch of people? I'm going to go confront my husband about that, right? Your husband invalidates you and uses gaslighting. You start to step back and you think that you don't have a right to question why your spouse did that. And so that's the purpose of gaslighting, is to make you doubt your reality and doubt that you have a right to trust your perceptions of the situation. That's how they control you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And first off, I'd like to say thanks for kind of clarifying, right? Like, what is a narcissist as opposed to like everybody must be, or right? Because I think that's something in our society, I think today that's happening a lot, that everyone's just getting thrown this label just because someone had a bad day and otherwise they're right, not necessarily following those patterns. And you mentioned in there, right, that we can stop trusting our instincts based on having that chronic gaslighting. What are some other impacts for people who have just chronic gaslighting in their life?
Well, there's tremendous self-doubt. There's cognitive dissonance. You can't make simple decisions. you end up creating a dependency upon this person, which is what they want, right? So the more dependent you are on a narcissist, the more the control they have over you. And so chronic gaslighting, you can get physical illnesses, develop anxiety, depression, mental health issues. You can isolate yourself. You can stop hanging out with your friends and think, oh no, I have to check with him, or I have to check with her. And so chronic gaslighting, it's a dissolution of the self. Your self is being dissolved over time, and you end up questioning every thought that comes to your head. It's not a good place, especially if you start to experience physical symptoms. That's what happened to me. I was just like, I thought I was crazy. Everything that I said was met with some form of gaslighting. I just didn't know that that was gaslighting. And then when you come from a family where that's the way you're spoken to, you're crazy, you're a drama queen, everything's about you, you just want attention. So now you're a grown-up woman in a marriage, and you think you're addressing a topic, and you think you have the right to address the topic, and you're met with similar language. Holy cow. You're like, I must be crazy. It must be me. And so you never get to express your true self, your authenticity. Your light never gets to shine, because mentally you're being battered and psychologically abused. And then your mind turns on you. Well, maybe I am negative. Maybe I am overreacting. I am talking about a difficult topic. Maybe I shouldn't talk about those topics. It's terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I get it. I get the whole, eventually, really driving yourself crazy by doubting yourself so much, and just continuously going on that hamster wheel about making a very simple decision, like, should I buy this brand of orange juice or this one, or whatever you're doing, right? And I'm curious too, if someone was raised by a parent who is narcissistic and gaslights their child, which just every time I think about that, it breaks my heart, because I can only imagine the impact of that going through life. Can you talk a little bit more about how that can affect a child?
Well, you grow up in that type of a home, and again, you don't have a healthy sense of self. Oftentimes you'll either become codependent and rely on the affirmation, or seek the affirmation of other people and think love is conditional. I'm not good enough. Well, maybe if I prove myself, because when you grow up with a narcissistic parent, you're conditioned to please them. And that becomes a survival skill, but it also becomes a way of being. It's all we know how to do. And so I can't trust my thoughts, or, if I ask to have a need met, that means I'm selfish. Oh, I don't want to feel selfish. And so you don't ask to have your needs met. So you think that the goal is to meet the needs of other people, and you become very externally focused. That's the way you navigate the world. You're not navigating the world from the inside out. What do I think? What do I feel? What do I need? No one affirmed that in you. That has to be modeled. The ability to look within and honor an emotion starts when a mother honors a child's, or a father honors a child's emotion. But when you have complete invalidation of that emotion, then you teach the child to invalidate the self. And that becomes a way of being. And it's so sad, because people who are like this don't know that they're like this. We see this with adult children of alcoholics.
Yep.
They could not tap into self. They were hypervigilant. Hypervigilance was a survival skill. And now they take all of their energy and they focus on it not happening in their own life. So they become very perfectionistic, or they use work as a way to avoid this unease in the body, and they don't know how to look within. And then oftentimes you can attract someone with high narcissistic traits. It fits. A narcissist is internally focused. What do I think? And what do I need? And what do I think about that person? And what I want you to do for me? And someone who doesn't have a healthy sense of self is out of focus. And so they end up in relationships that are one way, and that it is their way of being, and they don't even know that they're doing it. And so children that grow up being gaslit doubt themselves. They have tremendous anxiety, depression, and they may develop they may even isolate forever, or in relationships, they may be so other focused and want to please this person in fear of being gaslit. And when they're gaslit, it doesn't register, hey, that's messed up.
Right.
It's the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And how do I please this person? So it's very sad, but
Mhm.
how many of us are going through life like that and we don't even know it?
Yeah, I can attest to having grown up in the ACA, adult children of alcoholics environment, and yeah, not even being able to like remember certain things that may have happened, but getting, oh yeah, stuff happened. There was certainly some gaslighting kind of stuff going on that impacted my brother and I for sure. So what are some common gaslighting phrases for people who aren't like aware of how that works?
Gaslighting phrases are designed to throw you off your game, right? So like we just spoke about, you're crazy, you're over emotional. I never said that. You know, they said that. I never said that. You're making things up. I'm not making things up. We said we were going to do this thing on Friday night. So a gaslighting phrase is meant to cause you to doubt your reality. I never said that. You're making things up. You're insecure. I wasn't flirting. You're insecure. That's why you're upset about that thing. No one thinks like you. Like I said earlier, the phrases are really built to make you feel like you don't have a right to feel your feelings. So no, like I said earlier, the most important thing, you're crazy. You're crazy. You need help. So if you come to me and you want to talk about something, I go, Andy, you're crazy. I've totally invalidated you.
Mm-hmm.
It's unimportant. You just want to talk about this because you're a negative person. You're the kind of person that likes to stir the pot. That's why you're never happy, Andy. Know what the problem is? You're never happy. You want too much, Andy. Your expectations of me are just way unrealistic. They're unrealistic. That's why you're unhappy. Your expectations are ridiculous, Andy. What does that do? It makes you doubt what you wanted to talk about. It puts me in a position of power. I'm getting you to doubt that you have a right to even talk to me about this, whatever it is that we're talking. We're not even talking about that thing anymore.
Right.
I've worked to hurt your concept of self, to wiggle my way between your right to feel your feelings. Now you can't trust your feelings. Now you can't trust your mind. Now, on top of it, you're afraid to confront me because now I'm teaching you to fear a negative outcome. And so that's the purpose of gaslighting. And it's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's just absolutely terrible.
Yeah. And so if someone's in a conversation like that you just kind of outlined, you're going to have a conversation with someone and you start noticing these tactics, these gaslighting tactics, what do you do in that moment?
I think that's why I think conversations like this are so important, because like you, I've coached people and I tell them, well, tell me about the conversation that you had. And it sounds just like that. Either the wife is minimizing or the husband's minimizing, and it's such the norm, right? And so having conversations like this lets people know that's not the norm. That shouldn't be the norm. That's not healthy. So awareness is the first key. If you try to talk to someone and you're being invalidated, having the language, wow, this person can't hold space for me. This person isn't hearing me. This person is invalidating me. This person is devaluing me, minimizing me. Wow. Now that's the awareness. Now this person is going an extra step and they're trying to convince me that I'm crazy, that what I'm thinking is wrong or inappropriate, and I shouldn't trust what I'm thinking. So the first step is you have to be aware that this is not healthy. I think the next thing is to try not to take it personally. This is the way this person behaves at work. This is the way this person functions at Target. When they want something and they're not getting it, they're going to be argumentative. They're going to see you as a threat. So try not to take it personally. The other thing to do is I like to keep it on me. I used to say, you shouldn't talk to me like that, or that's abusive. And I don't know why you talk to me this way. It hurts me. I don't know why you're doing this. I don't do that anymore. So now it's like, I feel unheard. I feel misunderstood. I feel like maybe we're not on the same page. I feel like maybe this isn't the right time to communicate because I'm feeling like we're losing the topic here. And so keep it on you, because if you do this to a narcissist, they're going to attack you worse because they have to come out on top. I do not think that we should, we had a very sad story over the weekend. A family friend knew someone who was married to someone with high narcissistic traits. He actually killed her a few days ago during an argument. And he attacked his new girlfriend as well. And then he tried to hang himself. And so my advice always is that when you are being berated by someone, don't go toe to toe. Recognize that this is a hostile experience. The person that you're arguing with, if they are a true malignant narcissist, they have to win. And they're not in their right frame of mind. And you don't know what line they're going to cross. So there are garden variety narcissists who they get through life and they're functional. They're just really hard to be married to. They're really hard to work with. But then there's another breed where you have to be very, very careful. That's why I always tell my clients, and I preach on YouTube, like, don't argue with a narcissist. Keep it, if you find that you're in a relationship with someone who can't hear you, that's really useful information. Trying to get them to hear you is not going to work. You find out something nasty about them, confronting them, it's only going to be worse. They're going to cross a line because they need to feel powerful and they need to dominate. And you don't know what they're going to do in order to execute that dominance. Right. So, and that's what happened in this situation. One of the women found out something. We don't know what it was, but she left. One of the last texts that she texted was, wait till you find out what I just found out about so-and-so. And that's the last we heard about her. So if she went, and I'm not saying this happened, but if there was some type of a confrontation with information, it's not going to work out for you if you find something out about someone who's got really high narcissistic traits and you confront them. It's not going to work out. So avoid the confrontations. If you're in court, let the lawyers handle it. Don't look to throw gasoline on this fire. This is a fire that you want to burn out and move on. Because when someone's attacking you, and you start to realize, oh my God, like I'm being minimized, I'm being gaslit, the natural response is to defend yourself. Your ego's like, whoosh. In this situation, you have to know it's not going to turn out well. They thrive and their energy comes from dominance. So when you're arguing, you're being drained, they're being empowered. They want to pull you in. They want to see what your emotions are. That's their playing field. That's why I was always exhausted, because I didn't enjoy this. I wanted to meet you halfway. I don't want to argue. I don't want to put you down. I don't want to sit. I would have arguments with my ex-husband and I would not cross a line because I didn't want to hurt him, even though he crossed those lines. I still could not say what I wanted to say. But once you understand that someone with high narcissistic traits, they thrive in that arena, you have got to control yourself. Gray rock, shutty, no contact. When I say no contact, it means do not stalk them on Facebook. It does not mean dig up dirt on them so you can get one up on them to teach them something. That's an ego play. And that's not going to work.
Mm-hmm. Can you explain what gray rocking is? That's been coming up more and more for people who don't know that term.
So if we understand what a narcissist is, right? So a narcissist goes out into the world and needs an emotional reaction from you. So, and it's built upon dominance and control. So a narcissist moves through life and in relationships needing to feel dominant. So they idealize you in the beginning. You get hooked. You think, oh my God, this person sees me finally. But they're not idealizing you for you. They're idealizing you so they feel better about being with you. It's not about you. So that's how they exercise dominance and control. They've got you. You trust them, right? And then as time moves on, narcissist gets a little bit bored, or you prove to be an actual normal person that forgets to pick up the toothpaste once in a while, right? Or maybe actually wants them to rub your feet instead of you always rubbing their feet. Suddenly, wait a minute. It throws the balance off, like the power. No, you're supposed to serve me. And now you start to get devalued. If you push back, a narcissist will pick up on your emotions and beat you down, and they're exercising dominance and control. So the idea is that you have to know that a narcissist is going to thrive on what emotional feedback you give them. So think about starving a narcissist. They need to eat somewhere, but you don't want to be their source anymore. You have to think about their energy is emotion, your reaction. So if you say, I don't agree with you, they call you stupid. Well, that's because you're stupid. That's why you don't agree with me. So you can't give them you anymore. You can't give them your opinion. You can't give them emotion. And so gray rocking is about literally turning yourself into a wet blanket.
Okay.
You don't give them much. It's 1 or 2 word answers. I throw things back. Like if they say, oh, how was your day? Good. How was your day? Throw it back. Right. But so it's you not giving them, if you want to be as boring as possible, like a stale piece of bread, right? So they just look at you and like, they kick you and you don't even move. You're like, you're just a lump, because you're not going to be able to supply them with the energy that they need, because you're not reacting to them. And if you don't react to them, they can't dominate you.
Right. Interesting.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay. So in those scenarios, when someone can start practicing that, then let's say they're no longer in a conversation with that person. They go to work, they go do whatever they do. Right. What do they do? I would imagine in being in a scenario like that, you probably have a lot of emotions bubbling up that you obviously want to express, but the healthy thing for you at that moment is to not express them, so you don't get into that fight. So what do you do after a scenario like that? So you make sure you're taking care of yourself and the fact that you've had all these emotions rise up, but haven't expressed them.
Well, to me, I mean, if you're on the spiritual path, you have to pat yourself on the back. You didn't allow something that was happening outside of you to get your ego. So you've mastered the lion, right? So the ego is like a hungry lion. We've got to learn to walk it. We've got to learn to say, shh. We've got to learn to say, sit, don't move. So pat yourself on the back. Like, this person wasn't able to get you. The phrase I use is shutty, shutty, because the first time that this came up for me was when I was realizing I was breaking free of my codependency, made my ex-husband really, really angry because I wasn't getting pulled into the tango anymore. I realized I was a part of it, detached myself from it, began to take care of myself financially, moved out, got divorced. He was still angry. And I was getting the insults and the insults and the insults. But I was like at a point, like, I'm not putting up with this anymore. So I would go back at him, 10 texts, 20 texts, 30 texts a day. And I was at work one day and I heard my phone go off, and I opened up the locker and I took out the phone and I just saw all these texts coming in. It was a flip phone. So I shut the phone and I said, not today. And that's where I came up with shutty, shutty. Let's just shut the phone, don't engage. And I walked out and I was like, I feel pretty good about myself. I didn't give him what he wanted. There was a part of me that was like, how dare you? But that was my ego. I knew it wasn't true. And I don't have to, as long as I don't allow it to hit me and land, and I don't put myself in a position of defending myself, I can really, mosey along. You can call me whatever you want. And ultimately, that's where we're trying to get to. We're trying to be non-resistant to outcomes we can't control. We're trying to be not attached to what people think about us. We want to be at a point where you're allowed to have any perception of me that you like, because this is your life experience. And your perception of me is based on many, many things, your past experiences. Maybe I irritate you. Maybe I remind you of someone that bullied you in 7th grade. I don't know. But right here, right now, you have an absolute right to feel anything that you feel about me. Now, the more healed I am, the less affected I am by that. Mm-hmm. The more in a state of love for you I can be. Like, it's okay. I know that you don't know me.
Right.
I know that what your dislike for me is through a lens. You're perceiving me through a lens. I'm not in control of that lens, but I'm not going to send you the same energy back. Mm-hmm. So pat yourself on the back. If you're able to shutty or go gray rock, then call someone who you actually know can support you. One of the things that I did early on was I trusted the wrong people. And it was like, I just found myself defending why I felt. And it was like, well, maybe he didn't mean it. Maybe he's just upset. Maybe he really loves you. And I was like, yeah, but, and I'm losing myself. And so there was one person in my life, my best friend, who got it. She's like, Lisa, I've been here with you since day one. I know what you're talking about. And I was like, shutty to all those other people too.
Right.
And she was the one who said to me, you're the only person on this planet that sleeps with him. You're the only person on this planet that washed his socks. You're the only person on this planet that woke up next to him, had 3 children with him. You have to trust your perception of him.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it was like, that makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're gaslit as a child and you're taught to not trust what you feel, or what you feel is invalid, and you marry into a situation that's similar, it's not so easy to remember the facts.
Right.
Everything's skewed. And so I think trusting one person, therapy is very, very helpful. And I think journaling, knowing the goal is to get this person away from me. So the less I'm engaging, the less interesting I am. So I'm one step closer to my goal. The goal is peace. So work towards that goal.
Yeah. Gotcha. I love it. Thanks for sharing about your one friend too. What an awesome friend.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. In your experience, why do narcissists become narcissists?
There are so many reasons, and this is the research that I've done. Most research points to severe child abuse, severe trauma. And that makes sense to me, but trauma can also come by way of over-validating and over-praising a child that's undeserving of it. So you condition a child for entitlement. You give in to every whim that they have. So you're teaching a lack of empathy for everyone else, and you're encouraging this sense of entitlement. But that's a form of abuse also, because this person is not going to be able to sustain healthy relationships or be fair. They're going to be stuck in ego and be angry and defiant. And why doesn't everybody just cater to me? I don't understand. It's a very sad life experience. But I think most research points to this idea that there's severe trauma, severe abandonment, oftentimes sexual abuse, psychological abuse. And then these children decide that it's just not safe to trust people. And what makes them feel safe is developing this grandiose idea of self. So it's not me that's bad, it's everybody else that's bad. Mm-hmm. So they're just cutting off those ideas that they're bad about themselves. They can't handle that. And so the grandiosity comes, right? So there's nothing wrong with me, there's something wrong with you. And that is like a shield. And it's very difficult to break through. And someone would have to admit that they had high narcissistic traits. They would have to trust whoever was telling them, listen, I think there's some narcissism going on here, and I think we should investigate why. A lot of narcissists will say, oh, my life was perfect. My childhood was perfect, because they've cut themselves off from anything that's bad. They don't want to talk about it. It's no, I'm here. Everything's great. I'm great. I don't have any problems. They don't want to access, or they can't access those vulnerable places within them. They don't have the ability to sustain a conscious awareness of these painful experiences. They'll implode. So this is all a defense mechanism. Unfortunately, they're impossible to live with. They're impossible to work with. And their lives are not good. Not good. And so for someone to heal of NPD, they'd have to accept it. They'd have to work with a therapist that was very patient, because what a narcissist does is devalue the therapist. They're sarcastic with the therapist. It's about dominance. So the therapist would need to not take it personally. They'd have to know, I'm going in, this is what I'm dealing with. And, it's going to be here for the long haul, but, and I know that there are some therapists that think that it is possible to help someone with NPD heal. But like I said, there's got to be a lot of willingness. You need a very specific patient therapist, someone who's going to withstand the insults and the devaluing that comes along with it for the sake of the client, So.
Yeah. Got it. Thank you. I appreciate you answering that. And I also that you added that part in, even if it's to a lesser extent, right? The overvaluing a child or overpraising or right, creating like generations of entitled people. Cause I definitely, I resonate with that as like something that's been happening and continues to happen in certain families and things like that. And just never, helping your child develop that, like, oh, I need to think of others, like we're all equal. Let's share all these things.
Well, the thing is, it's also, we can think about it in families that, encourage their children to think that they're better than everybody else. That's one side of the coin. But what about the families that think that they have a right to steal and hurt other people?
Right.
So it could be overpraising and teaching entitlement, and it could look pretty obvious to the rest of the community. Like, wow, this family, they have a lot of money. They think that they're better than everybody else. Like, she just got a DUI and she threatened the cop, that she knows people. Like, there's no accountability for driving drunk and for hurting someone. It's like, entitlement. I'm going to get away with this. That seems pretty obvious. But then we have people who encourage their children to take advantage of other people. Go ahead, go out there and steal from them. Go ahead. You can steal from the store. Mm-hmm. Parents who teach the children how to steal. Right?
Yeah.
Parents who say, oh, what'd they say to you? Just go knock them out. Go beat them up. A lack of empathy.
Yeah.
A lack of understanding the bigger picture. Like, these children aren't being taught to love themselves and love one another and take responsibility. It's like, oh no, life is hard. Go take advantage of whoever you got to take advantage of.
Exactly.
So we have to look at both ends of the spectrum. So you can, if we think about extremes, that's where narcissism is. That's where we're going to find narcissism in extremes. So whether it's my family has been beaten down and I'm a victim, therefore I have a right to take advantage of people. Mm-hmm. Or my family is very well-to-do and we are entitled to lie on entrance exams to get our children into schools. The heck with the kid who actually studied and didn't come from such a well-to-do family and actually deserves that spot. Mm-hmm. So I think when we look at extremes, I think that's where we'll find narcissism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So fascinating to take a look at that, like societally too, and what's happening and how it's coming to be. So thank you for diving into that with me. Let's talk about how people can learn more about you. So I know you have a free book for everyone as well as your community. So there's a couple of links below everyone. What you got?
Yeah. Well, the link, you can go and you can download one of my books for free. And it's an affirmation book. And I create affirmations that address the faulty belief. So it's not just I am enough, I am abundant, I am generous. It's also attacking it from the angle of correcting the faulty belief, recognizing, helping your logical brain say, oh, that's what's wrong. Let me self-correct, right? Appreciating where you really are in life. So that's what the book is all about. And I hope it helps people. And we're offering the Breakthrough Warrior membership site. So it's a monthly membership. You can cancel anytime. You become part of my private Facebook community. It's moderated. And every month I do a live Q&A and I answer the members' questions. In addition, every month you get new healing resources. And if you opt in, you're also getting access to 2 or 3 years of monthly resources, in addition to the Loving the Self video meditation program, my advanced codependency program. So many of the programs that I have available on my website are actually tucked into the membership site. And it's if you're on the healing path and you want to heal from codependency, stop attracting narcissistic relationships, learn how to feel empowered in your own skin so you don't have to go back at them, your ego doesn't get activated. If you really want to move towards non-attachment and non-resistance, this is a great program for you to tap into. All the resources are there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all of that and all your work, Lisa. And again, everyone, the buttons are below for both of those. Do you have any last insights that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
I think it's important that we recognize that just because someone might be wounded, as a narcissist, in most cases they are, And if you have high empathy, you might even be able to sense their wounds, feel their wounds, and you might want to fix and cater to them. I think it's really important that you learn to set boundaries, because someone who is unaware that they're unaware and who is highly narcissistic will only drain you. You all of your hard work and all of your empathy will be absolutely abused. And the more you give, the more they will expect. And I know it's very difficult for us to walk away from people that we know are wounded, because there's a part of us that feels like, oh, what kind of a person am I if I know this person's history and I know why he or I know why she is the way she is. But in this scenario, you're going to go down with the ship. You can't fix that person. And if, as long as you engage with that person, you're actually keeping their narcissism activated. There's more of a potential for them to shift if you leave the relationship and if you no longer tolerate abuse. Mm-hmm. So I know it'll be difficult, but I think it's important. If you have high empathy, you tend to attract this. You have to know that you're not going to be able to fix it. Right. Save yourself.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, always good to see you. And I always enjoy our conversations. And thank you, AVAIYA students who are watching or listening right now, for showing up for yourself on your journey. And we'll see you all again real soon. Take care. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this latest class with Lisa Romano. She was back with us today talking about why narcissists gaslight. I really enjoyed this conversation. I think we took a really deep dive into even society as a whole and why narcissists become narcissists, why they use this tactic of gaslighting, what kind of impact this gaslighting can have on us, whether we grew up in an environment with a narcissistic parent or not, and we grew up in a different kind of environment, but we are now attracting these kinds of relationships in our life. So, right, what impact that has on our ability to trust ourselves, to listen to our instincts, our intuition, our gut, those kinds of things. I loved Lisa's recommendations for if you become aware that you are in a situation with someone who is gaslighting you, right? What to do? What do you do? How do you handle that scenario? And her top tips were, right, of course, first of all, being aware. So hopefully by watching this today, you are becoming more aware of some of the different things or phrases that are said so that you can pick up on, right, this gaslighting, and then not taking it personally, not starting to defend and not starting to react and getting into a fight, right? And then putting fuel into that fight, and then therefore really ultimately giving that person that supply, that energy that's what they're looking for, right? Allowing them to, right, take that power from you. So, right, not giving it away, not giving away your power by not taking it personally, right? Keeping quiet or saying very little, and then focusing on how it is that if you do say phrases back, right, how it is that it's making you feel, keeping the focus on you and your experience and not pointing the finger, not blaming, and getting into a very potentially not great fight or what have you. So I think those are really important things to take a look at if you're noticing this in your relationships, whether they're relationships with a boss, a partner, a sibling, a parent, what have you. So I hope that you found this useful. And if you enjoyed Lisa's class, she is featured in numerous other AVAIYA University masterclasses. So you can check out some of her other classes on the homepage of AVAIYA.com. Thank you, as always, for joining us. We'll see you soon. Bye.
AVAIYA has changed my life.
AVAIYA has made me the woman I am today.
AVAIYA is my home.
AVAIYA is personal freedom.
AVAIYA is the reason my life continuously improves.
Let everyone in your life know about AVAIYA.
Everyone needs to know about this amazing company.
Thank you, AVAIYA, for appearing in my inbox.
What Ike Allen and Andy Anderson have created at AVAIYA is what the world needs.